So now let's move over to Brooke. She goes by Brooke, but her name is Brookelan Abels. And Brooke, you're our youngest, but I am amazed at your creativity and your imagination. I think it's safe to say that you are a fan of sci-fi, magic, and different things like that. So when everyone was able to pick their own genre as long as it was fiction, and you went toward magic, and there was some research you had to do to be able to write on that, because there's soft magic, there's hard magic, and people have expectations, the reader expectations of everything. So when we're doing this, you had to really jump in, and I was really impressed with all of the research that you did. You did a really great job with that. But tell me, what made you decide to become an author? And then more than that, why did you join this program?
Well, it all started when I was probably 6 years old. I always been into books, so has my Nana. So she always take me to the library. I'll pick out books I liked. And I'm just like, I'm going to start writing my own book. So when I was 6 years old, I wrote my own book, never published it. And then now my mom was like, hey, there's this program for you, because I know you like writing books.
Mm-hmm.
And she put me in here. And ever since then, it was the best decision ever to make.
Okay. So it was kind of this is unique in that this was a gift, someone who loves you, your mom, who also went through the program, but she got this for you. And were you excited at first, or were you scared, or what was your logic? Because you didn't have the same, should I do it, should I not? You were just like, here, you're doing it, and you're probably like, oh gosh. So what was going through your mind?
Well, at first I thought, hey, I can't do this. I'm not going to be able to do this, because I grown up with ADHD and having hard time spelling. Shoot. And then you helped me a lot, actually. And so did my mom. And yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me, if you will, Magic is Brewing. Now that title kind of, okay, so I'm assuming witchy kind of magic, and brewing, again, that sounds witchy. Is this about witches?
Yes.
Okay. So give us, just like, without giving away any spoilers, 30, 60 seconds of an overview about Magic is Brewing.
And so Magic is Brewing is basically about this woman and man meet, they fall in love, and then something happens. So she has to have help. Whoa. I'm sorry, I lost my train.
You're right. Just, you can start over.
So basically, she's a witch. Her boyfriend that she met, no one knows if she's a witch or not. And you think her life would be normal being a witch and stuff, but it actually is not. She doesn't know if she wants to be a witch or a human, but she still has her witch powers and all this, but she doesn't use them like some witches do, that you see like in Harry Potter and all that.
Right. So the one of the things that I found interesting with this, and it was this is, I think, the first time that I really saw your creativity, was there were times when your draft would go, because it's like she's, let me see how to say it. She's in the mortal realm, and so is he. But there's also like a witchy realm, and they're over here amongst us. And I don't know if we call ourselves muggles, or whatever in this book or in this world, but they kind of, they're just drawn together, and your creativity of, coming up with the adventure as they're falling in love, and there's always a bad guy, and when you've got two witches already, the bad guy of course has to be a bad witch, and so there's just really great drama in your storyline, and I really was impressed with the way it ended. And then to go even further than that, it's just like Francis's, where you're left like, okay, so now what? Because you've got that little bit of a cliffhanger at the end, and people are like, okay, so now what's going to happen next? And so that's really exciting. Tell me what the toughest part of getting through the certification process was for you. And, what brought you through it? How did you make it through this?
I will have to say it was probably the research I had to use, because I went into different groups on Facebook. I also looked up online. I went into like different groups of like witchcraft, and like had talked to one-on-one to people, asking them questions. I'm like, what do you guys use? I have this book I'm writing. And they were really helpful with all of everything. And they're like, if you want to know more, you can always look up online. And they gave me a website. And I overcame it by just with lots of help.
Yeah.
With the research.
And that I love that you did all that research. And it's important to know that when you're writing, that's why a lot of writers kind of pick a certain category, a certain genre, and they stick with it, because over time, it's just different stories with the same, you already know the magic and the reader expectations. So things get easier with time. But when this was your first story ever. And so even though you've watched a lot of, magical movies or shows, and you've read the books, it's different when you're on the other side and you're having to do the writing. And you're right. So many people are really gracious about, if you say to them, hey, this is kind of weird, but I'm just doing some research. I'm about to write a book. And would you answer some questions for me? And you'd be amazed at how many people are perfectly willing to just answer those questions. Because I think that most people want to make sure that things that they believe in that are important to them are represented, in a good way. And, Francis, going back to you on that, you had asked me some questions about foster care and different things like that. So it's important to do that research when you're writing a book, because you want to make sure your readers deserve the truth. And Brooke, you did a really good job with that. So what's next for you? Is there a book 2 of Magic is Brewing, or what's next?
I'm starting to work on Magic is Brewing. And I'm also working on another book too.
Awesome.
Away from Magic is Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
And my next step is finally be able to help people out there that have like, what's the word? Writer's block.
Okay.
Because that's one of my biggest thing is helping people get through that.
Gotcha. Cool. Awesome. And then do you have a website or an author page something like that, where people can follow you and learn when your books are about to launch?
I do. It's called Brookelan Abels, the author, on Facebook. And I also have an Instagram, Brookie underscore cookie 99 on Instagram.
Gotcha. Perfect. Awesome. Okay.